Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you're listening to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit.
Hello and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast. My name is Josh Cadillac and I'll be in the driver's seat today as we strive to learn how to stop just chasing paychecks and start closing customers for life. So this is going to be a little bit different today. I'm going to do a solo podcast. I want to talk on a topic that really kind of blew up on social media. The idea of incentivizing yourself. The idea of getting your head wrapped around what it means to be a good boss to yourself and setting yourself up for success. In the video that was so well received, I was talking about, when I go on a listing presentation, and if it's a really big listing, and I know that I could potentially see myself getting nervous or getting tense in the interaction, that what I'll do is a couple of different things. The one that got all the headlines talked about ice cream, but the first thing that I said is actually a really important one, which is I tell myself that it's not the real listing presentation. I tell myself this is the demo. This is the practice listing presentation. I'm just going in here to work on my material for the next time I have a really big listing presentation so that then I can get that one. This one I don't really care about. This one is just practice. Once again, I'm doing this to try to take and get my mental state cooled out, calmed down, getting me to a place where I can trust myself more to be in the best headspace, to be the best version of me that I can be. Because if I'm nervous, it's just like going on a date and being nervous. It's not particularly conducive to that date working out the way that you want it to, right? The Barry White music, as I like to say, is not playing later on that evening most of the time. When you feel nervous, there's a thing called emotional transference. And emotional transference is where the people on the other side start to pick up and feel what it is that you're feeling. So if you're nervous, unless you happen to be with some folks that are just super understanding, that actually is not a positive experience for the customer. In my experience, and I can ask you guys to think this through, when you go someplace and experience a negative customer experience, are you beating down the door to come back and do it again the next time? Is it like, oh man, that was awful, let's do that again? Unless you're a masochist, no, typically not. So what we're looking to do to be good business people, to close customers for life, is to think through every part of the experience we give customers and try to make it the best possible experience it could be. So would you like to be with a salesperson that's super tense, or one that is just enjoying life, who is fun and funny, knows their stuff, quick to respond, has answers for everything, and is just a pleasure to be around? Somebody that is quick to laugh. You could tell that they just are enjoying what they're doing. Which one are you more likely want to do business with? So how do I get myself into that headspace of being somebody that's just having a good time? Man, it is a good day to be alive, right? That is the work of the CEO. The work of the CEO is, one, to figure out what the best customer experience can be. I think it's the person, the agent, that is on top of their game, slept well caffeinated, in a good talking state, mentally ready to have a conversation, got something funny going on in their head, just a good sense of humor. Guys, a good sense of humor doesn't mean you can do stand-up. A good sense of humor means that you're just in a place where you're looking for what's good and funny in life, right? Where you could just tell a story about going to the store, and it's funny because you're looking for the humorous things in life. And so that's the place, that's the headspace that I want to be in. If I'm tense, I'm not looking at the world that way. And so one of the things, as I said, that we're going to do is going to take and think beforehand. Let me depressurize this situation right now. I don't care who I'm meeting with. I don't care if it's the leader of what country or this famous. I don't care. I don't care. You know what? They poop too. So you know what? I'm just going to go in and assume that they can enjoy a good chuckle in life as well, right? Whether it's a corny joke or whatever, or just making fun of how other things that I've seen in the industry have gone, dumb stuff that people do, whatever. I want them to be aware of what to anticipate and make sure that we can be laughing along the way if we can. Laughter is one of the most powerful tools that exists. And honestly, folks, it's one of the best negotiating tools that you have. It's hard to get to say no to people that have you laughing, right? So one thing, obviously, take and try to depressurize the situation. Two is figure out yourself well enough. As the CEO, you got to know yourself well enough to know what you can do, what strings to pull with yourself to get more out of you, to get you in that headspace, and to try to incentivize keeping you in that headspace. The example that I gave, because those of you that have taken classes with me or have talked to me for any length of time, you know how I feel about Oreos. Well, however I feel about Oreos, it's like 10 times that when it comes to ice cream. I love ice cream. Ice cream just makes everything better except my waistline. And so if I'm totally willing to concede my waistline, man, this life could be amazing. Sadly, that's not the case. That's why there's a lot of cardio that gets done. Why do I do the cardio, though? Guys, let's be honest. I do the cardio to eat the ice cream. It's all about the ice cream. So I will promise myself before going in, hey, look, Buster, because for some reason I call myself Buster when I'm talking to myself. I really have no idea what that is. I can't even back that up. I just made that up. But I tell myself, hey, look, no matter how this goes today, no matter what happens, if you get the listing, you don't get the listing, they throw you out in your ear, or they, are singing your praises from the mountaintops when it's done. No matter how it goes, I am taking you out for ice cream. And this is the very special kind and flavor of ice cream. This is what we call guilt-free ice cream. Now, let's be honest with each other. How frequently do you actually get to enjoy guilt-free ice cream in your life? This is ice cream where you don't worry about what it's going to cost you in the gym or how much cardio you're undoing. This is where you go out and you say, I earned this. I am not going to allow myself to feel bad about this ice cream for a second. Man, let me be honest with you folks. That is like some of the best time in the world in my universe, where I sit down and I refuse to allow myself to feel bad for a second about eating ice cream. Because typically when I eat ice cream, I do feel bad about it. I'm not going to lie. So when I'm going into an ice cream shop and I know I get to order whatever I want and I'm not allowed to feel bad about it, man, you want to talk about a reward. That is a reward that when I am in that listing appointment and it gets tense, they start hitting me with the hard questions and, starting to sweat a little bit. I just remember I'm sitting here, starting to get tense, right? You get in there. And I just remember, wait a second. No matter how this goes, guilt-free ice cream is waiting for me. Immediately, I get a smile on my face. Immediately, I start to relax. Immediately, the consequences of this big meeting become a little less big. Because I remind myself, I didn't have this listing when I walked in. And if I don't have it when I walk out, who cares? I'm getting ice cream. It sounds so silly. It sounds so stupid. It almost sounds foolish. It's savvy as a fox, folks. Because I know when dealing with this guy, with Josh, the guy that I have to send to work every day and I expect to go execute all the stuff that I need to get done, my main employee, Josh Cadillac, the guy running this podcast and running his mouth right now, when I deal with this guy, well, I've been hanging out with this guy for a little while now, 40 plus years. And you know what? I've learned in the process of hanging out with this guy how to push his buttons, work his levers, and how to get the most out of him. You promise that guy ice cream, man, you will be surprised at walls that guy will run through. So maybe it's not ice cream for you. But you do need to know what those things that'll take and get you to run are. I know in the real world that would help me, that does help me depressurize a situation. And it reminds me that if I don't get this, it's not the end of the world. There's other good things in life beyond this. Never to make excuses, guys. You know me. I am not one to make excuses. I am not one to, in any way, shape, or form, take the pressure off me. Unless, of course, the pressure being on me makes me less likely to do the thing that I want to get done. Because a good boss is about helping the employee achieve the results that are going to help them to be the best that they can be at what they do. So the very real question I have to ask you is, are you empowering your staff to be their absolute best in any given situation? Have you thought through what you're asking them to do and tried to figure out what the best thing you could do is to empower them to be successful? If the answer is, I haven't, well, let me be very clear with you. You're a terrible boss. And you need to fix it. Because when you work for yourself, if you're a terrible boss, all you can anticipate is poor results, poor employee morale, and a business that never really does what it sets out to do. One more thing they'll never tell you in just about any real estate class you ever take that I'm telling you right now, because it's one of the most important things I could possibly tell you. You've got to sort you out. You've got to sort yourself out and figure out how to get out of you the most you can get out of you. And look at every situation that doesn't work out the way that you want it to and figure out how you can get something better out of that next time around. Because if not, this industry is just going to take and tell you what it always tells you. Brush yourself off and go run your head into the wall again. Hey, look, I don't know, not for nothing. Maybe I could buy a helmet next time, because hitting my head on that wall kind of hurts. Maybe I could go get a bulldozer and knock down the wall. Maybe I could get a rope and climb over the wall. Maybe there's a better way to take a deal with this freaking wall. That's what a CEO does. What does the staff do? I get paid to run into the wall, so I run into the wall. Guys, if your answer is more cold calls, more door knocks to your failures, well, I don't know what equates to more banging your head into the wall than that. So that being said, I'm asking you guys here to work smarter, not harder. Assess the staff. Figure out what you're asking the staff to do. Figure out what you can do to help the staff better achieve the goal. That's what being a real estate CEO is all about. I don't care if it's real estate, I don't care what sales business it was in. I just got done. I could share with you guys a story of pain and suffering a little bit. I just went through the process of buying a car. Go to the sales guy. I'm very interested in getting this new car. My lease is coming due. I need to take and get something done. I give the guy my contact information. Never contacts me back, or contacts me once and then kind of ghosts on me. Right? So I call the guy back. I ask him a question about the car. Doesn't return my call. Call a couple days later. Still doesn't answer. Doesn't return my call. About a week later, the sales manager from the store calls me. 20 minutes later, I couldn't answer the call. Call him back. 20 minutes afterwards, leave a voicemail. No call back. A couple days later, I call again. Now, I don't want to be chasing the car. I want them chasing me. I'm the customer, right? Still no call back. Folks, there are a tremendous amount of people in the sales business that are out there just trying to harvest the low-hanging fruit because they're unwilling to take and build a business that actually does what it sets out to do and builds a business. They just want to take and score some paychecks. They want to take and, somebody that walks in and they buy a car today. That's what they're going for. But here's the thing: guys, it was bad enough if I walked in there and these guys were busy constantly, but they're not. I walk into the sales office and they're sitting there around with their thumb up their nose, talking to each other, goofing off. They're leaving money on the table because they haven't set their business up. They haven't set up the disciplines. Hey, look, you're going to be in this business. You need to take and make sure that you're holding yourself accountable to everybody that you should be calling may need to be getting called. That's potential money you're leaving on the table. They leave that money on the table. Why? Because they're acting like employees. What do employees do when they've done what they think they need to do? They goof off. They talk to each other. They find ways to waste friggin' time. What does the CEO look to do when they got a minute? What's the next thing I should be doing? The reason why they behave that way, folks, is because, once again, they are behaving like bad employees in the business that they run. Let that sink in. They're literally sabotaging their own business by behaving like bad employees. And agents and anybody that works for themselves do this garbage all the time. I see it all the time. We sabotage by not defining what we need to do and what the next thing to do is. Folks, if when you go to work, you are not working hard from start to finish, minus any breaks that you have preemptively decided that you were going to give yourself before you came in, well, sadly, once again, that's a failure of leadership. Because if the staff is sitting around with their thumb up their nose because they don't know what to do next, who do you blame for that? Well, you got to blame their boss. Their boss didn't lay out what the next thing for them to do was. So, all of this boils down, this is all the same thing. Whether it's giving yourself ice cream or making sure that you know from start to finish what needs to get done today, all of that is the process of learning to be that good boss. And that requires you to take time away from all the things that keep you so busy at work every day, like cat videos on Facebook. I mean, social media marketing and networking, which is sitting around with a bunch of other realtors laughing while drinking at the early happy hour that you took. Yeah, all those critical things to your business. And focusing on running your business. Focusing on what you're going to accept from the employees. Because guess what, folks? Employees respond to structure. That's how people function best, typically. When they know clearly what it is that's expected of them and what's going to happen if they do and don't do what they're supposed to do. So have you defined it? Have you made it clear? Have you figured out what you're dealing with? What kind of staff is this that I'm dealing with? What kind of person is this? And how do I get the most out of them? How do I set them up for success? How do I emotionally manipulate them? How do I incentivize them? How do I put a carrot stick, a stick of dynamite? I don't know what it is. How do I light a fire under their butt to help them to be the best version of themselves that they can be? Because if you had people that work for you, that's what you should be doing. And seeing as you work for you, I see no reason why you shouldn't be doing the exact same thing for yourself. All right, folks, this is a little thought on what it means to be the boss and how to work that better. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is something that you think about. Because you do have the opportunity, folks, to build something amazing. But the one thing I can promise you is it ain't going to build itself. So you've got to do it. As painful and sucky as that might be, as much as there might be parts of being the boss that you don't enjoy, if you're going to do this business right, you have to commit to get those things done. Or get the coaching you need to get it done, or bring in a partner, whatever you got to do. Because everything that happens in your business is on you. It reflects on you. This is your business. And there's one thing that as a business owner, you're never allowed to do. You're never allowed to make excuses. So, no excuses. No excuses means instead of saying, oh, this is what's wrong, you have to ask the CEO question number one. What the hell are you going to do about it? So what you need to do about it, folks, sit down, figure out what you're working with, and figure out how to get the most out of it. All right, folks, till next time, I hope that helps. This is a little bit of almost a coaching session to some extent. This is what we talk about in coaching sessions a lot, is how to get the most out of ourselves. I hope this helps you to get a little bit more out of you and helps you to get closer to building that business that at the end you can look back and say, yeah, that's how we did things. That's how I did things. This was the right way, and this is how we get it done. I want you guys to have something you love and something you're proud of. All right, till next time, guys, reminding you always, 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 always know your shit.